So my name's Graham Zabel. I'm head of DevOps at DevoTeam in the UK. Prior to that, I joined DevOps in September last year. Prior to that, I was leading the DevOps transformation at Barclays Investment Bank for about 5 years and learned a lot of things about DevOps at scale. So in 5 minutes, I'm going to try and talk you through the evolution that I saw there and which we see at other large enterprises. I was talking to my good friend Barry Chandler this morning. Barry runs the CCon conferences and the SEAM meetups, if you're familiar with those, and we were remarking on the fact that DevOps is about 10 years old now. So I've seen this evolution from shadow DevOps to enterprise DevOps to DevOps as a service. I also like to think of it as DevOps 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. A lot has changed in those 10 years with DevOps. I'm going to make an analogy with shoes, if you can picture that. So if you think about shoemaking or software engineering, we start out with DevOps 1.0 in a large enterprise where teams it grows organically. Teams start building their own DevOps tooling. They realize we want to do automated testing, we want to do CI, CD, etc. So there is no steer from a large enterprise. So everyone will start grabbing their own tools. They grab their own open source tools. Some teams are running Jenkins, some teams are running TeamCity, some teams are spinning up their own artifact repositories. We've got 4 different source code control systems, which we had at Barclays. The ops part of it is all very manual. It's in-house, it's expensive. And then at some point, the enterprise wakes up and says, wow, we've got all this DevOps going on in our company. We didn't know anything about it. We've got to do something. We've got to centralize. We've got to make this an enterprise process. So we build a central DevOps team. We get central tooling. We start engaging with vendors. We move from open source to enterprise licensing because open source isn't. We don't trust open source in a large enterprise. We've got to have maintenance engagements with our vendors, etc. So we get to this sort of let's centralize DevOps. Let's have some big Jenkins instances that run everything for the whole bank. Let's have one Git repo for the whole enterprise. Let's have one artifact repository, etc. And we moved from a place which was very bespoke and customized, every team was doing their own thing, to a place where the enterprise starts to impose on everyone what DevOps should look like. And we get to a place, by the way, in DevOps 1.0, we don't have cloud, we don't have containers, we haven't got there yet. We get to the enterprise DevOps, we start building things in more of a production line fashion. We start waking up to say we need a cloud, we need containerization, we need centralized teams to build a cloud platform, a container platform. And that's when we start bringing in things as we did at Barclays like OpenShift. So we start getting, and we're still building monoliths at this time as well. So people start thinking, okay, how are we going to get our monoliths onto the cloud? How are we going to get them onto container platforms? And we think, we'll give you an OpenShift platform. You can, just like these shoes, you can have any shoe as long as it's white. You can run any container on our platform as long as it runs with 2 core and 2 gig of RAM. And all these people running monoliths are thinking, I actually need 36 cores and 120 gig of RAM. So can you give me a container that size? And no, sorry, we can't do that. And we're also, by the way, we're still running OpenShift 3.3. Can we upgrade to a more recent version? Well, that takes a lot of time, and we're not allowed to use Ansible within our enterprise, so we'll rewrite everything in Chef, and we'll have an infrastructure as code team that's doing all this stuff, and it all really grinds to a halt, and it doesn't really work. And so this idea of DevOps as an enterprise where you're dictating from the top how we do DevOps, how we do containerization, it's disempowering to developers, and you're taking away the autonomy from developers. So what we're seeing now is this move to DevOps as a service. This picture is a picture of the Adidas Speed Factory in Munich, I believe, where they're now building shoes with robots and 3D printers. So we're actually moving away from this outsourcing of ops to predominantly India, thinking that we're saving money by taking this expensive in-house ops, outsourcing it to India, saving money, which actually doesn't really work, and it's very anti-ethical with DevOps, merging Dev and Ops together. So Adidas have moved are starting to make shoes back in Germany and not making them in Asia. And rather than having thousands of people building these shoes, they've got hundreds of people and robots. So you've got automation with robots. You've got the templating, the terraforming of these shoes using 3D printers. And you're getting to a place where you're not having one central OpenShift cluster running for the whole enterprise. You can start templating your clusters and running smaller federated clusters for different departments or for different teams. And teams can move at their own speeds with control. So in DevOps 1.0, teams were doing whatever they wanted because there was no central governance, to a place where you can now get your autonomy back, but you must follow certain controls and certain the templating structure will give you Terraform plans, and you can spin up your own clusters, but you must use our plans with our controls built in. So really, good, okay. So that's a lot of text there, but I'm just summarizing this shift that we're seeing moving from DevOps 1.0, shadow DevOps, to enterprise DevOps, which hasn't really worked properly, to DevOps as a service. And I think hearing about OpenShift 4.0, I think that's going to really help large enterprises move in this direction. Yep, that's my lightning talk.
And where's your booth?
And our booth is on the quieter side of
on the
building.
Far end,
Yeah.
but there will be food down there. So
where the
food
food
is
will
spread
be.
out and dispersed.
And we'll, yeah, we've got a booth, happy to talk through more of this. We've also got a white paper on OpenShift and the open banking APIs, etc. So we've got papers there as well. We've got some people that can talk to you about that. Thank you very much.
Great. All right. Thank you.